stupid questions.
So let's talk about what Hollywood has been doing, especially as of late, relying on sequels and existing storylines more so than original storylines. Has that been something that you guys have noticed as well?
Yeah, totally.
Well, there's a lot of movies that I've thought were like originals, and it's like, where did all the original thought go? Is nobody creative anymore?
But is that all Hollywood's good for nowadays? Is just sequels?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to earn a buck in the easiest way possible. You know, if we don't have to really put forth a new script or a new story or a new character or whatever, we won't. We'll just make a lot of money somehow.
What I want to do is present to you a list of the best sequels of all time. You guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Only Stupid Questions podcast, where we ask the questions that may be too stupid to ask. I'm Brandon.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Matt.
Only stupid questions.
That stuff.
Really
People,
do.
they're emotionally attached to all this stuff. I used to be.
Well,
I mean, you know, sports and everything. When I was hammering away at my keyboard one time when BYU lost by a narrow margin to the Utes.
Right.
Remember
Was
that?
that when you had to sing a song to me?
Yeah, you were like, Matt, calm down.
Well, you had to sing the fight song to me too.
And I was like, seriously,
song.
like,
Mm-hmm.
Robert, you suck. You know, or whatever I was saying. I don't know what it was.
People get passionate on social media about the dumbest things.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. My
yeah.
policy on social media is I don't want to get in intense conflict with people over stupid things, but I sure enjoy watching other people do it.
It's entertaining.
It is. Sure. Yeah, it is entertaining. What does that make us? I don't know. Is that a sickness in itself?
Probably.
Well, back when I was in Utah, watching the Tooele County Facebook page groups were my favorite.
It's the best.
Ever.
The best.
They all started out like, to the person who, fill in the blank. We've got some of that going on in North Carolina, too, where my neighborhood, I see those constantly. To the person driving the white Acura, you need to slow down when you drive through the neighborhood.
There's this trend. There's this trend in this county where people are trying to locate strangers that they met. They've been trying to make it like into a cute encounter. To the person that I met the other night at JoJo's Bar and Grill, you were wearing a plaid shirt. I just want to say that you had an amazing personality, and I'd like to find you and perhaps ask you out on a date. So we've seen this influx of things like that, and then bros will do it with cars. To the person who is driving that sweet Subaru SRX, you know, hey man, I'd love to meet up and
swap pink slips.
I mean, it is social networking, so you know you got to use it to your advantage. If that's funny. Your way of meeting people or sharing a message.
Mostly, it's fighting, though. You're exactly right. It's a lot of fighting,
a lot of controversy.
Contention. So, what do you say we keep that going here for this week
and have some contention?
Yeah. Let's contend. Yeah, let's get into it, guys. What we like to do, I just want to lead with a little quick news story here. And that should dictate where we go from there.
Is it some stupid news?
No, it depends, right? It depends on how you feel about this. So let's talk Hollywood.
Oh, it's stupid news.
So it's dumb, right? Yeah, just dumb.
It's gotta be dumb.
Gotta be, right? So Hollywood has found a little bit of a sweet spot these last few weeks with this new movie. And new, it's not new. It's an old movie, but they've done a sequel of it. So let's talk about what Hollywood has been doing, especially as of late, relying on sequels and existing storylines more so than original storylines. Has that been something that you guys have noticed as well?
Yeah, totally.
Well, there's a lot of movies that I've thought were like originals until like I get looking into it and realize it's like the third time the same storyline's been made. It's like, where did all the original thought go? Is nobody creative anymore?
Yeah.
You know, Michelle just said that to me the other night. She was, we were trying to find something to watch, some movie to watch, try to wind down at night. And it was like, where are all the good movies? There's just no good movies anymore. It's like they kind of gave up on. You remember, like when you were growing up, they made the biggest deal out of movie releases and brand new movies or whatever. But with now, like with all the Netflix and Amazon Prime or whatever, they just all the release stuff is on there and not like out in the movie theaters and stuff.
Well, first off, Michelle, you got to get off the Hallmark Channel. Because every one of those movies is the same plot line. We've talked about that before. We have. But no, I hear you. I used to, when I was in like a college age boy, we used to, on Thursday nights when there was a new release on a Friday, you could go to the midnight movie on Thursday. Right. And that was the funnest time ever because we got all these young, rambunctious college age kids watching things. So like we watched, what's the one with Adam Sandler?
Way back in your day?
Player. Oh, way back in my day.
Waterboy. Yeah.
Not Waterboy. Newer than that. It was
The Longest Yard.
The Longest Yard. Now that was a remake as well.
Right.
Not a sequel, but a remake. That one was a blast because people would just be shouting out from the audience like things. The Dukes of Hazzard came out in that time frame. That was a big fun one. And so like that was like one of the most fun times ever. Go to the movies at midnight on new release. I don't think that happens anymore. Like maybe I'm just old now, but I haven't gotten excited about any new releases.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. Is it our age? Is it because we are getting older and we claim to be old? I mean, we're in our late 30s, early 40s.
We claim to be, or we
I can't get excited for it either. And I think with me, I feel like Marvel killed me. Just beat me over the head every year with 2 or 3 movies that I was supposed to care about. And I got exhausted, I think, and I just kind of quit caring. Even if it was a great movie, I enjoyed the last 2 that they made. Or at least the Infinity War and the Endgame. But outside of that,
I have gotten behind on my Marvel movies.
I have no idea where they're at now. Yeah.
I have a hard time keeping up just because they have made the same storyline so many times.
So many.
Probably my favorite Marvel, or I guess is Batman Marvel, or is that the other?
No, it's DC.
That's DC, and
but that's been remade numerous times, right? Like the Batman series,
right?
I really liked some of the ones a few years ago, like when they made the Joker movie and stuff, and they were like a lot darker. Like I thought that was a really good remake.
There we go.
But some of the stuff they remake, I mean, are you really getting anything better, or are we just redoing it for fun?
Just redoing it.
They're
not getting any better.
Hollywood's looking for that formula to make money. And let's talk about what happened most recently here in September 2024. One that I was excited for, Beetlejuice.
I've seen the previews.
How do you guys feel about that?
I do want to see it, but you might talk me out of it. Let's see.
Well, I haven't seen it yet either. I'm gearing up for it by watching the old one, late 80s Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton, if you remember, has come back for the sequel, Beetlejuice is what that is. And after failure in Hollywood, this one seems to be a hit. And so as of yesterday, so again, this is mid-September, they are at $264 million at the box office. And
Good grief.
They've done quite well these last few weeks. Tim Burton was at the helm once again, so making it as weird and quirky as possible. Like I said, Michael Keaton's back, Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara are back as well. They signed on Jen Ortega, who is she's in every creepy movie or series that's been made over the last 5 years, I think. She's Wednesday in the most recent Addams Family Wednesday series. Anyway, so it seems like they did quite well. From the reviews, it seems like the fans loved it. Critics, of course, have turned their nose up at it a little bit. But for the most part, I hear positive things. I rewatched the first one this last weekend, and it held up. I laughed and loved how weird and dark it was. But is that all Hollywood's good for nowadays? Is just sequels?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to earn a buck in the easiest way possible. You know, if we don't have to really put forth a new script or a new story or a new character or whatever, we won't. We'll just make a lot of money somehow.
I like it. I
yeah,
agree.
I mean, sometimes you can remake something and make it way better if you take a different angle at it or something. Like I said, like The Joker, that's like one of my favorite movies from all the Batman series that are out there. But they took a very different angle. It was very dark, and it got you into the character that's normally the so-called bad guy, and you almost find yourself, feeling bad for him, right?
Yeah.
And so I loved that. That was great. That was brilliant. And I'm welcoming, things like that. But that wasn't necessarily a true remake. That was just taking a completely different creative angle at it.
Just a different angle.
But when you watch the same movie, like Trading Spaces or Trading Places, whatever, it was done, I think, with the Olsen twins or Lindsay Lohan, maybe.
Parent Trap?
There was a previous version of that. Parent Trap. See, I got the name all wrong.
Yeah. That was a remake.
But,
okay.
Oh, yeah, Trading Parents.
You can trade your parents. Yeah. But
I like it.
The different versions of that, like it was the exact same story. It didn't get better. They didn't take a different angle at it. And
use the
I
same
was
music
watching
in a lot of cases. Yeah.
it with my kids, not even realizing that version had been a remake of an even older one. And so then we watched the even older one, and it's like, it is the exact same thing. Like, all you did was use a better camera.
You're right. So remakes and sequels, but what I'd like to tackle is specifically sequels for this conversation. I think a remake episode would be great too. What I want to do is present to you a list of the best sequels of all time. You guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And is that what Hollywood is good for, is just sequels? I mean, is that a dumb question, or is that something that we should explore? I think we should. I think we need to dive in here. So the best sequels of all time. So the list that I've compiled here is a combination. I went kind of nerd on this thing. I went with Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Variety, for a little variety. And then I scanned the Reddit boards as well, and Ranker. So I went with a little social media here as well to try and compile a list of the best sequels of all time. So I'm going to give it to you top 10, top to bottom. You guys ready for this?
Yep.
So top to bottom.
So
we're going
like
with the number
10 to
1 first.
Yeah, it's a
10 to
countdown.
1.
Let's go countdown is what I meant.
Let's do
Bottom
it.
to top.
Bottom to top? Is that really okay?
Bottoms up,
Here
boys.
We go. Here we go, guys. You guys ready for this? Some of the ones that didn't make the top 10, maybe I'll give that to you afterwards. So let's start with number 10, Dawn of the Dead. Have you seen it? The old one. We're talking old zombie. Dawn of the Dead.
Nope.
I'm having trouble thinking how this made a top 10 list.
1978. It's very highly ranked across any of the lists that I encountered. And so I threw it into the top 10 at number 10.
I mean,
wasn't there a 2004 Dawn of
the
Dead as well?
There was a remake that got really good marks as well. It came out the same year as Shaun.
So we're talking about a sequel and a remake for the same series. Okay.
Yeah. And that 2004 remake, Shaun of the Dead, also came out that year, which is super highly rated. It's kind of a spoof on that. But anyway, I think it's great. It's 1978. The practical effects are amazing. It's rated R, but it's 1978 rated R, if that makes sense.
Which is like G today.
Yeah, it's like PG. But it's gory with those practical effects. I think it was pretty impressive what they were able to pull off. I've rented that on a Halloween night back when Blockbuster was still around. Rest in peace. Except for the one in Bend, Oregon. or Family Video, or wherever you patroned and rented your films. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. That came up often on all of the websites and lists that I pulled up. And so it made its way into my compilation top 10.
I mean, I can see it. I mean, if I'm thinking about it from like a Halloween angle, yeah, this is pretty good. If I'm thinking about just any day movies, I don't think it would have hit my radar. But for a scary movie, yeah, I can see it.
Nice. Okay, well, let's move on. Next is from the James Bond series catalog.
Now you're talking.
Love me some James Bond.
And this is a Connery film. So do you have a favorite James Bond Connery specific?
Oh.
James Bond film, 1964 is when this one hit.
64 is a little beyond my time. Robert, you?
Okay.
Well, I've seen most of these because this is like a sequel ongoing, right? Like they didn't necessarily just remake the same thing.
That's
but
true.
They've got a lot of them where James Bond is a different dude.
I was just curious if you guys were into that series at all. If you were, I mean, again, when you talk about Roger Moore years, when you talk about Sean Connery years, I mean, we're talking
Pierce Brosnan years guy.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I think I like the Pierce Brosnan ones, but
wow, okay.
Skyfall though with the new guy.
Skyfall was awesome.
Yeah, that one was really good.
There's some great ones, yeah. Pierce Brosnan.
What's that guy's name? What's the new guy?
Great.
The newer guy?
It's Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, yeah.
He did a good job. They're getting ready for a new one. So, the one I won't drag this out too much here. It's Goldfinger. So Goldfinger is consistently on many of the top 10 lists as the best sequel.
Okay.
Or subsequent film. Goldfinger is often rated as the best James Bond film. And so, yeah, it made sense. I mean, it was second or third in the series of that time, of that block of James Bond. And so they threw it in as a top 10. Goldfinger.
Yeah, I think James Bond overall probably, I don't know. I think overall the series ought to probably be like the number one. But...
It's up there. It's got to be top 3. Definitely when you talk series, I mean, we're talking about more than just a sequel here. I think you're right. I think James Bond is right up there. For my money, I'll take the Mission Impossible series, but we can talk about that a little bit later.
I mean, we're talking 60 years of this series from start to where we're at now.
Super impressive. Very impressive.
That's a way to keep a storyline.
That's going to work.
Well, and some series have had good sequels, but overall, all their other sequels is kind of weighing out. Home Alone, I'm talking to you. 1 and 2 were great.
1 and 2 were good.
3,
top notch.
4, it's kind of a stretch.
And we'll talk about that in next week's episode, by the way. We will be tackling the worst or most disappointing sequels. And we want to get the input from the people on that one. So, yeah, you're headed down the right direction there, Bob. We got some people to call out. So as far as a subsequent or film that came after the original, this is still the top 10 list of lists that I've seen and compiled. So, okay, here's one that we kind of hinted at. So number 8, The Dark Knight, 2008.
Yeah,
Christian Bale. This is the Heath Ledger Joker out of the Dark Knight series. Oof. You want to talk about a performance? He won.
He was brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And maybe a little too brilliant for what happened afterwards.
He gave it his all, literally, right? He really poured himself into that. Yeah, that's my favorite by far as any superhero series or film. I think that's my number 1 as well. So that was an easy one. That was top 3 on many lists, and then it dropped off a few other lists. So that one came in at number 8.
Yeah, that's by far one of the best in all the Batman movies.
You mean you didn't like Batman 3 with Iceman?
See, I love those. I love the Tim Burton versions. I love the ones that came after. I'm a sucker for those.
My kids like watching all those older Batman ones.
Those are great.
Rewatching them, though, from when I was a kid to just recently, it's like, holy cow, these are cheesy.
Yeah, they got us.
It's true.
But if you think about like the actual comic book, like those were probably the truest deformed to the comic book.
They really were. They really were. Oh, Danny DeVito as Penguin. You got Mr. Freeze, Schwarzenegger.
The Joker.
The Joker, Jim Carrey. Oh, man. So good. So good. And then, yeah, the variations of Batman. Speaking of Michael Keaton, I mean, he was in that series with Clooney and others. So, oh, man. Okay. Well, let's move on. Number 7. I found this to be interesting, and it was almost interchangeable with the third in this series. But we have Lord of the Rings. 2 Towers was the one that came out on top.
Interesting.
You guys Lord of the Ring fans?
Not really.
I remember those Thursday night viewings, kind of what Bobby was talking about. I mean, they released it year after year in a row. I think it was 2000, 2001, 2002, or maybe I'm off by a year there. And yeah, that was something you looked forward to all year. You stayed up late. You went to school a little hungover from not sleeping and having all that sugar and popcorn.
Well, I was out of high school, I think, when most of those came out. Maybe not the first one. But the Lord of the Rings, that was one of the ones we used to go to in my college age. And you would go with a huge group, and that might have been made the movies even more enjoyable than they might be now. Now I haven't rewatched most of them just because it's a time commitment. But it was fun.
And by the time the third one came out, they were doing viewing parties at theaters where you'd watch the first and second one, and then the third. You were at the movie theater the entire day. And then right behind it was Return of the King, so the third one. So it was right there, razor edge here, as far as what made that list. 2 Towers, really loved that one. That was really good.
Yeah.
What about
I might
Star
need to do
Wars?
a
Is that on this
Lord of
list?
the Rings marathon with my kids because I don't think they've watched it.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is a good watch. I think once they get like 10, 11 years old, I think it's a great time to get them into it.
I don't know if young kids' attention spans can handle Lord of the Rings.
It's tough.
Probably not.
It's long.
Or those Hobbit films,
You have to be in your teens.
That's a rough one.
Teens and nerdy.
Well, let's go a different direction. So instead of the nerd elves and wizards, and this one is just like a apocalyptic thriller. So we've got Mad Max. You guys like the Mad Max movies?
No.
I don't think I ever saw them.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the one that consistently made the top 10 lists of the ones that I looked at, we're talking major lists here. It was Mad Max Road Warrior from 1981. So this was the sequel to the original Mad Max. Mel Gibson is what we're talking about here. And I've seen it once. It was a long time ago. But man, that made the lists. The critics love that one. There were just pages and pages of love for Mad Max Road Warrior, as well as the most recent, or one of the most recent Mad Max films.
I may have to check them out. I don't know that they've ever
I have to revisit
hit my radar.
The Mel Gibson ones, absolutely. There was, Tina Turner was in the sequel, and they threw a couple other celebrities, and it's a cool concept, right? It's the end of the world. Everybody's surviving, pirate style almost. Land pirates, if you will. So it is kind of a cool concept. Yeah, one to revisit. And again, that was top 2 or top 3 on many of these lists. So I thought that was really interesting. Here's another one. So we're going to go back outer space, actually. So this one is Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, 1982. That was number 1 on several lists as the best sequel of all time.
I'm more of a Star Wars kind of guy.
Me too.
Me too.
It ended up at number 5 on my compilation list. But that is one I can't remember if I've seen or not, and I think I got to go revisit it based on how many times I saw that thing in the top 3 in these different lists that I looked at.
There was a Star Trek that came out later, like in the 2000s at some point with, it was the original cast kind of coming back.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
I do.
I don't remember what it was called, but that was a pretty good show.
That was pretty good on the lists, by the way. I can't remember the version of that, but I did.
Can't remember the name. It had Leonard Nimoy, and all the original guys.
It got a lot of honorable mentions, and it was pretty highly rated. So that may be one to revisit as well. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was number 6. That was number 5. Okay, so we are in the top 5. Reddit and the social media boards also had that as a consistent number 1. Wrath of Khan, 1982. Okay, so here's top 4, and these were by far the top of every list I looked at. They had the most mentions on social media, Reddit, Ranker, you name it. Put these 4 at the very top of almost every list. So number 4 is Aliens, the sequel to Alien.
Okay.
Again, one that I have to revisit.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm an expert on Aliens.
This was another one that was consistently number 1. It has an extremely high rating on Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, Google. It was a James Cameron produced movie.
Who's making these lists? That's what I want to know, because I could think of a lot of things way ahead of that. But okay.
That's what I was just thinking about. I'm like, well, you have to think about who's got time to create these lists, and it's like that engaged. Be like, I'm going to write a list of the top all time. The list might be weighted for. And
I'm with you. I'm typically skeptical of critics. That's why I went to the boards on this as well. What did the voice of the people say? And they also ranked this thing, if not number 1, pretty darn close.
Yeah, but not to disparage people that go and participate in those lists, but it requires a special type of person to go get that involved.
These are people with time and opinions.
Exactly. So if you've got that much time and opinions, I mean, is your opinion
they're putting the effort in. I got to give them that. They're putting more effort into it than I am. So maybe they know something I don't.
I guess I probably devote a lot of time in like barbecue forums and commenting about how they season their meat and stuff.
That's a grethink comparison, man. I'm the same way with sports. I know I put more effort into that than most people. So Aliens. I think I saw it enough. I'm going to go rewatch that one. I remember Alien, and apparently he kept the party going. Again, that's James Cameron, hit after hit after hit. My heart goes on.
I'll give it another watch.
I think it's worth it. So far on my rewatch list, I'm going to go. I'm personally revisiting Star Trek: Wrath of Khan and Aliens. Maybe some Mad Max, but
so do we just have 3 more left on this?
3
list?
Three more in the top 10.
I can think of 20.
Okay, all right, I love it. We'll talk about some of the honorable mentions that came close. Maybe they hit some of yours, and then we'll get some of your favorites as well right after this. A few of my favorites are still left, and so I feel represented somewhat on this list. Okay, number 3. And this is a consistent number 1, but it got beat out by, obviously, 2 others. Math is hard. Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
Star Wars.
That was one of them that I was thinking of.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan. I've got the Star Wars helmets over there on my shelf, and I've got a Yoda, well, a baby Yoda.
But you think about what makes that movie great. I mean, we got almost everything in that sequel, and and more. I mean, they took Star Wars to the next level with production. We got the father storyline. We got Yoda. We got Hoth, a different world that kind of blew our minds. Anyway, there was so much variety and great storytelling. Cloud City.
Well, and Darth Vader was brilliant. May James Earl Jones rest in peace.
So good. Yeah, you got that right. Rest in peace. One of the most, if not the most iconic voice in movie history. Can we say that?
Oh, yeah. For
Is there a more iconic voice than James Earl Jones?
Maybe Morgan Freeman.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, there's only a few that I can think of that are even in the conversation. So, okay. Yeah, Empire Strikes Back. Any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that's a great choice for that series, that sequel to be the best.
I personally wanted to make this number one as far as the best sequels. I found a few other stats that put these other two ahead of it. This next one, I personally would not rate ahead of Empire Strikes Back on a personal level, but the data that I found overwhelmingly slightly put it ahead of Empire Strikes Back, and it's 1991's Terminator 2.
Okay, I love the Terminator series.
Okay.
They're great.
I can agree with that.
Do you like the newer ones, the ones that have come out in the last 5-6 years? They've squeezed a few out.
Are there newer ones?
Sarah Connor series.
They're no good.
Okay.
In the last 5 to 6 years?
Yeah.
Where have I been?
Exactly. Who cares?
Working.
Right?
You're working
Did they
too
advertise
hard,
it? They did. One of them, they were trying to save the theaters from COVID or whatever.
You're just working too hard.
They had to wait for Tom Cruise to save the movie industry. But, okay, so Terminator 2, you guys are kind of on board here.
Yeah,
it was
for
great.
sure.
Love it.
Terminator was great. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one, amazing, right? And then the second one, again, they did a really good job. It was 5 or 6 years after the original, I believe. I think the first one was 84. This is another James Cameron film. Once again,
very good.
The guy makes hits. He's on this list quite a few times.
So was that the number one, or was that number two?
That was so close to number one. Number one, I think I agree with. I wasn't too hurt about this one. Any guesses on what's left?
Hunger Games?
We've hit the Star Wars.
Harry Potter? It's got to be Harry Potter.
Harry Potter was on the honorable mention. We'll talk about that in a second.
Lethal Weapon?
Ooh, Lethal Weapon was honorable mention. Die Hard 2. Die Hard 2 was honorable mention, not some of those other ones. They were close.
Did we say Hunger Games?
Yeah. You guys are really into Hunger Games? That wasn't even close to honorable mention.
Well, the Hunger Games books were so much better than
I liked the books. It was one of the few books that I read and didn't expect a personal pan pizza as a reward. I actually enjoyed my time reading those.
I got it. Toy Story.
Okay, Toy Story 2 and 3 were on the edge of the list. Honorable mentions. Very close.
On there?
Very close.
Cars?
No. Cars was not even close. Okay. I'm going to make you an offer that you can't refuse.
Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. That was my clue.
Oh, you're not making me an offer. That's a quote.
You didn't. I didn't get it either. Okay.
Hold on. Let me do some Googling here.
Make you an offer that you can't refuse was from the original movie of this sequel. Make you an offer that you can't.
We say Beverly Hills Cop. I said that. Right?
Oh, The Godfather.
Godfather. Hey.
Yeah. All right. I love The Godfather.
Godfather 2 is often cited as the best sequel of all time.
Wow. Okay.
All right. I agree with that.
I liked Godfather 2.
I don't think it gets all the love generally, though, because it's just so old. Most people haven't seen it.
Okay. 1974.
That's true.
You're right.
It is an older show.
Someone was born in 1974.
It was 11 years before I was born.
No, it was a couple of years before one of our friends was born, too. So that's good.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
anyway,
a word.
I liked Godfather 2 more than I liked Godfather 1. I totally agree with this. And again, when you look at the message boards, the rankings, the critics, the people, this rose to the top quite easily. So,
yeah, it's great. So I've often wondered, Could they remake the Godfather series?
Oof. Maybe. Who would you cast? Who are your tough gangster? Would you do it with non-Italians? Would you keep it within the Italian
it has to be
umbrella?
Italians.
Okay, so you'd keep it there. All right.
Well, it ruined the series
Tom
to
Hanks
not have it be
would
Italian.
Tom Hanks.
in there.
I mean, if John
Scorsese,
Panette was still alive, I would say he needs to be one of them.
He's at least at the bar eating some pasta, yeah. But Scorsese he's come out with a few in the last 10 years of these Italian gangster type films. But he continues
Romano in there.
He continues to use some
Ray.
of the older names. I did love the fact that Ray was involved. Yeah. Hey guys, yeah. I can't. think of
I
any
would love to see them attempt to remake The Godfather. I would totally give it a chance.
Okay.
Would you, or do you think it would just be a train wreck?
I think it would be a train
I don't know.
wreck.
I think it could go either way. It could either be brilliant or a train wreck.
Leave it up to Hollywood. If they hear us, if we talk too loudly, they'll do it. They're out of ideas, guys. So some of the honorable mentions on this list, you've already mentioned a few of them. So the Toy Stories were right there towards the top. Rocky, you guys feel about the Rocky?
How did we not talk about Rocky?
Man,
how do we
it was
Rocky.
right there on the edge.
Which Rocky was the best, though?
I love them. I love 1 through 4.
Adrian.
Yeah, I love 1 through 4. Number 2 is the one that hit the list as the better one.
I think number 4 is the best.
Number 4, love number 4.
Russian.
The Russian?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I quote that one more than any of the others. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I must break you.
Yeah, I will say I didn't really like the newer ones.
I liked the newer one. I don't like... I'm not into the Creed spin-offs.
Yeah.
Number 5 was a train wreck a little bit. That was kind of a stretch. But yeah, 1 through 4, give it to me all day. Give me all of them. Yeah. Number 2, okay. I mean, that's his redemption, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's like the ultimate Rocky story. Number 3, Clubber Lane, Mr. T. Number 4, The Russian. Yeah. The Harry Potter series, Chamber of Secrets is the one that gets mentioned. And then Prisoner of Azkaban.
I would have gone with Prisoner of Azkaban. That was the best, I thought.
It was right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the best sequels, loved Prisoner of Azkaban. My personal list, and this one almost made top 10, was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Okay.
No Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood stuff.
Love that one.
How about Back to the Future? Was that not on there?
Back to the Future is my personal favorite. And it was close. It was like a top 25 if I was to keep the list going.
Which one's the best of that series?
I mean, number 1.
Number 1's the best.
I mean, which one's the best sequel?
Number 2.
Oh, of those?
Mm-hmm.
As a child, I watched number 3 the most, just because I loved westerns, and as I get older, number 2 I think holds up a little better. I appreciate the storyline a little bit better, but that's tough, man. I love them both.
Good series, isn't it?
I love them both. That's my personal favorite movie of all time is Back to the Future. But
what about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? If we're talking about
where's those, man? Where are we at on that? We might need to save that for next week's discussion.
I don't know if it's worthy. I rewatched on HBO Max. Yeah. Oh man, I had a good time rewatching those.
Well, that's why I had such trouble with Keanu Reeves as like a Matrix superhero back in the day. I think a lot of people felt that way. You're talking about the Bill and Ted guy? You're talking about he's going to be a superhero? Russia with Love is another Bond film that was right there on the edge of top 10.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2, was actually pretty highly rated. That was interesting. The highest rated...
I like the newer Spider-Man with, what's her name, Zendaya or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Those aren't bad. Tom Holland.
She's obviously not Spider-Man. She's his girlfriend, but...
yeah. Well, they tied that in.
She's not? Just kidding.
No, I'm more into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So that was kind of a compilation top 10 with some honorable mentions. The highest rated sequel of all time, according to Rotten Tomatoes. You guys want to guess that one?
Is it on your list you gave us?
It's 10? Not. It hasn't been mentioned yet. Not even close.
Men in Black.
Hold on. Don't say.
Yeah, how'd you feel about Men in Black 2? I kind of like that one. That was good.
I like Men in Black. That was
John Wick.
Okay, the Wicks got mentions on the like the Reddit and Ranker boards, but didn't do well with critics.
Really?
Because they're idiots. Yep.
I like those shows.
Yeah, they're great.
What's
I'm
the one with
sure
Denzel?
What's the one? Too.
Oh, yeah.
Denzel did the Man on Fire series. Denzel did
just recently the Equalizer.
Equalizer.
Have you seen those? Those are awesome.
He's done 2 or 3 of those.
I like number 3 the best. That's my favorite.
Denzel does not do sequels. He just doesn't do it. And until that Equalizer series. I mean that was one that he really believed in. Yeah. So the highest rated sequel of all time, according to Rotten Tomatoes, which is a decent indicator. I mean, it takes people's opinions as well as critics into consideration here. With a 100% rating, was Paddington 2.
What?
I'll yield my time to you.
Well, now I can't trust anything Rotten Tomatoes put forth.
Have you seen Paddington 2?
No.
It's actually pretty dang good.
I had to stomach the first one, and I couldn't even make it through that. I fell asleep in the movie theater. I took my family and literally fell asleep in the middle of it.
See, Paddington 2 was so popular that even the Queen herself made an appearance. I mean, that's how big of a deal this was. That's how we gauge it,
if the Queen likes it.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace. Anyway, I thought that was funny. And I do like Paddington 2 a lot. Just throwing it out there. That's because you have daughters. I think it's a fun one to watch with kids. Yeah. They throw enough funny British adult humor in there for the adults. I really enjoy it. Almost Monty Python-ish, but
I mean, it's all right, but really, number 1 of all time
on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, take a look at that list.
Seems
anyway, that's a great list.
I would rate Panda or Kung Fu Panda 2 over.
Let's talk about it, man. What are some of the ones that were left out that you're offended about? What do you take offense over the?
Well, the Lethal Weapon wasn't mentioned in any of your lists, and I think those are great shows.
Those are great.
Especially the sequels.
Man.
Just saying.
Briggs!
The Taken series wasn't in there.
No,
and Liam
they got
Neeson is awesome.
Ooh, Taken was good,
They got taken off the list. Yeah. Liam Neeson's.
That's true.
Dang. How do you feel about... So we already talked about some of my favorites. So did you guys see Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Oh, more than
I enjoyed
okay. It saved Hollywood, guys. It saved Hollywood.
Well,
the weird thing about it is Tom Cruise.
Well, I think it was like it's almost like they were trying too hard.
Yeah,
to me, it was like, we gotta have the same music. We gotta kind of come back with the same
beach volleyball scene
characters. It was like, come on, man. I mean, I get this is a sequel or whatever, but kind of
the stunts.
It's a little too hard.
The stunts and the special effects, I really won me over. But storyline,
those were cool.
A little forced. I feel you. I'm much more in love with his, especially the recent ones, the Mission Impossible series. I love that entire series. And he keeps one-upping himself. And you're right, Tom Cruise, you got to get past him, right? Mm-hmm. But man, the guy knows how to do a stunt. Which also begs the question, how do you feel about the Bourne Identity series?
I was just going to bring that up. I thought
if you want to talk about a middle-aged man favorite, I mean, is that not
That's
one
excellent.
of them?
Yeah.
I mean, that is one of the ones I rewatch quite
all
often.
the time.
You ever see those memes where it's like always like, somebody doing something mundane and then it's like, it's Jason Bourne.
It's Jason Bourne. It's Jason Bourne.
Anyway, you can take that out if you want.
I'm leaving part of that in. So
I'm just quoting, what
it's a quote from the movie. I get it.
Well, it's those memes, people post somebody doing something stupid, and then it's like, oh,
for a reason
Jason
though,
Bourne.
Right? Jason Bourne's awesome, and he's kind of an everyday man who gained a little
that's
bit
a
of
good
power.
series. I can't believe that one wasn't on the list either.
Love it. Yeah, I'll watch all of those.
Speaking of other ones that, how were they not on the list, is Indiana Jones.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, what happened to that? Although those are kind of...
No, Back to the Future and Indiana Jones are like this for me. It's like 1 and 2 in my childhood. So let's talk about which Indiana Jones, though. We've got Last Crusade, which almost made the top list that I was looking into.
Yeah, I like The Last Crusade.
Which is the third. That's the third one. And then we have Temple of Doom, number 2.
I like The Last Crusade better than Temple of Doom.
Love it. I probably watched Temple of Doom more as a child, though, thinking about it.
Yeah, me too,
I think
probably.
it was more mysterious to me. It was more exotic. Monkey brains. I mean, come on. That was cool stuff when you're a teenager or growing up.
For sure.
Dr. Jones, Short Round. Come on. He was cool.
Yeah.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Bobby. That's exact. I'm glad somebody else was on that. Love Indiana Jones. How do we feel about the most recent installment, Crystal Skull?
I mean, it wasn't bad.
Kinda,
and the other one? Okay.
Lost my attention.
Yeah, that was tough. We'll talk about that next week, I think. We got some of those sequels to tackle. Here's one that I think people forget is a sequel, Christmas Vacation. Isn't that technically a sequel?
Vacation.
Isn't that technically a sequel, guys?
I think it is.
Maybe you can correct me on this.
It stands alone.
Okay.
You don't really need to have seen any of the other ones to make that one work.
I think you're right.
But there is a whole history of that family before it.
They've got Vacation, European Vacation that came before that. And then after that was Vegas Vacation, which I think is another standalone. You don't necessarily need the others to understand. It is nice to have a little bit of context with Cousin Eddie, but that's about the extent of that. Okay. Technically, it's a sequel, though, guys, right? Or am I wrong?
In that case, it's number 1.
It's pretty darn. It's up there, right? But
it wasn't movie of all time.
It wasn't on any of the message boards, any of the lists, and so it had me thinking maybe it's not a sequel. Maybe it's a standalone.
I doubt anyone considers it a sequel.
Okay,
because many of the people who love Christmas Vacation may have never even seen the others.
You're right. I think many are in that boat.
What about Shrek 2?
Yes,
the whole Shrek series was
next
great.
on my list.
I enjoyed Shrek.
Shrek 2, though, I feel really, really did a good job. I think they took what made the first one work and they made it better, and they really, really hit it out of the park. Shrek 2.
Yeah. And we didn't talk about the some of the scary movies. Not the scary movie, but like I'm thinking like because that's done. But I was thinking Halloween.
Okay.
Did you guys see the most recent Halloween movie?
I haven't. No.
Well, it's pretty good.
We should do a themed
Jen Ortega, I believe.
on the scariest movie of all time.
Scariest?
Okay.
Oh,
scariest movie of all time.
Watcher in the Woods.
Feel like we have an episode coming up for that in the next month.
Yeah, I think we need to dive deep on that one as like one of
Matt's
our
already showing his hand. All right,
that's what it is, hands down.
I don't know. I think we need to dig in deeper.
It's
have you seen Watcher in the Woods?
There are lists.
I have.
And what do you
think we need to have a only stupid question scary movie watch party.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Come on out,
all right,
buddy.
that's not a bad idea.
That isn't a bad idea.
But it's Watcher in the Woods for sure.
Oh, okay.
And you got to watch it outside in the woods on a projector.
Yeah.
All right.
That's beautiful.
I digress.
Okay, any other sequels you can think of that we missed? Because we're next week,
there's a
like
lot
I
of
mentioned.
them out there, and I could probably go back and forth, but a lot of your top 10, like I was like, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt.
Some of your
I gave
top
my
ones were pretty
opinions.
good.
Yeah. Again, that compilation of all the things I saw, I personally would rank some of those higher and drop a few of those back. But that was what I found. I wanted to be true to the science.
It was very scientific.
Super scientific.
Very.
Okay. Well, sequels.
Oh, you never
Hollywood.
brought up Austin Powers. How did we not talk about Austin Powers?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
baby.
You didn't bring up Deadpool either.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. Now you're back into the Marvel
Is
area.
is Black Sheep a sequel or?
That's a good question. It sure uses the same people and the same producer.
Yeah,
but,
it's not really a sequel, but
it's standalone. Yeah. Love David Spade, love Chris Farley.
And we have yet to see the Happy Gilmore sequel.
So here's a list of some of the sequels that have happened this year. We mentioned Beetlejuice. That kind of started the conversation. Some of the more recent ones, Twisters. Did any of you see Twisters? Which was kind of a sequel remake of the original Twister.
What about Ghostbusters?
Beverly Hills Cop came out, the most recent Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Did you watch that one?
Frozen Empire?
Yeah.
Haven't seen it yet. It's on my list.
Watch it and let me know what you think.
Because I'm a big Ghost... that's top. I loved 1 and 2 as a kid.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
really love those. Some of the sequels coming out. So you mentioned it. We've got Happy Gilmore 2 currently being filmed. How do we feel about that?
I'm all over that one. That's going to be great.
I eat pieces of...
Although, I'm a little bit curious how they're going to pull it off, because Adam Sandler is clearly much, much older now. And so be interested to see, but I'm excited to see it.
Nice.
I think all the cameos is what I'm most excited for.
Yeah,
we'll see there.
Me too.
There's supposed to be some really good cameos in there.
He's going to throw everybody into that movie.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I can see it now. And he's already announced that many of the actors from the first one are coming back. So his love interest, we've got Shooter McGavin. A couple have died, unfortunately, so they can't make it. But oh, man, that's fun. So some of the other ones to look forward to that have been announced, at least. Joker 2, that's coming out real soon. That's coming out real soon.
Yeah, I'm excited
like
to
that
see
first
it. I loved the Joker. I thought that was great.
I did too.
It had me becoming a Joker fan over a Batman fan, honestly.
Yeah.
You've got movies like Aladdin 2. So, the live remake with Will Smith?
Oh, brother. Is it going to be Will again?
So the studio is in talks of a follow-up movie.
I think that one's going to flop. You
know how they did Return of Jafar, if you remember the animated sequels of Aladdin? So they're considering something like that.
I wonder if he's going to slap some people around.
It'll slap.
I sure hope so. That's what we need a sequel of. Is
they really should have Chris Rock in there too. Yeah, in the
hey man,
I love Chris Rock.
Give me a break,
He's
man.
Awesome.
He could be an Iago type character. I think we could make it happen.
But the genie has to slap him at some point in the movie, or it wouldn't be worth it.
Oh man, it's crazy. Yeah, you got the Batman 2. Like you mentioned, they're trying to keep that Batman, the most recent installment, going. Thought that was interesting. You've got Avatar 3, 4, and 5 over the next decade. Did you guys like the most recent one, The Way of Water?
No, I don't like any of them.
Oh, okay.
I didn't either.
Creed 4.
Haven't
seen 2 or 3. Crazy Rich Asians 2 and 3. I heard good things. Show. Okay, maybe some people liked it. I'll trust you though. Here's one that may make a list eventually. Dodgeball 2. That's got to be in the works and
it's
ready
been way too long to do a sequel.
Come on, it was 2004. It's been 20 years. Can you believe that?
Feels like forever ago. I mean, I love Dodgeball. That was fun. That was another one of the movies I went to with all my college friends.
Oh, man.
I don't know.
It'd be like doing another Napoleon Dynamite.
Okay. Which I can't believe they didn't at least try. I know they tried an animated series for a little bit, but how do they not try a number 2 on that one? There's some other sequels that have been at least confirmed. Fast and Furious 11.
They went way too far with that series.
Way too far. I'm so with you. How did we go from street racing to defying physics superhero type films? Like, how did... Anyway, I don't get it. As a super fan of the first couple, I'm offended. Yeah, so there's that. You guys up for an Ocean's 14?
No.
Okay.
I think that's played out.
Clooney and Pitt are coming back.
I like 12. I liked Ocean's 13.
How about Ocean's 8?
With the ladies? That was all right.
Yeah, that was fine. And so they're thinking Ocean's 14 with Clooney and Pitt reprising their roles. That looks like it's in the works. We've got a third Paddington coming our way.
All right.
Right. Come on.
I would love to see, though, a second El Camino.
Okay. For those Breaking Bad fans, the El Camino movie on Netflix. Yeah. I wonder what they do for that one. Just show a continuation.
Yeah. Or somebody else's life. Maybe somebody Mike's.
Else. Yeah, there's many, many different storylines they could take from.
But Mike's wouldn't be
that series.
End of it. It would have to be a prequel kind of a thing.
Man. Maybe. Again, leave it up to Hollywood. They'll find a way to use an existing storyline that was successful to try and make a buck. Hence, Toy Story 5. Anybody?
I'd see it.
They're going to, yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know.
Everybody will. That'll be, maybe it's another $1 billion movie for them. Oh boy. And the list goes on and on. You name a franchise or a movie, they're considering some kind of a prequel or sequel to it. And again, has Hollywood just ran out of ideas?
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe our answer is yes. So next week, again, we want to tackle some of the worst sequels of all time or worst series of all time. I think that'd be a funny conversation to get into, but we want you, the people, to feed that conversation. So take a look on Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere. I'll set up a poll on Spotify as well. We'll try and get as many different inputs as we can. We are setting up a message machine. You guys remember answering machines back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
Loved answering.
Sure do.
You can leave a message for your friend or family. So we're going to set one up for the podcast where we can hear actual audio bites from you. So please or at least put that into consideration. Again, we'll be tackling the worst or most disappointing sequels or subsequent videos in a series.
I can't wait.
On next week's episode.
I have a couple opinions.
Do you?
Yeah, just a couple.
Oh, I don't know, Bobby.
I generally have more opinions on worst than best.
Okay, good. I think that's going to be quite the fight. I think it'll be good. I've got a few I need to defend, and I know you guys will disagree with me. So
likely,
highly likely. So we'll see you guys next week for a fight. Looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, bring it.
Right.
Bring it out.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Only Stupid Questions podcast. Give us a like and a subscribe. Please leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast.
Only stupid questions.